What are the key steps and tools used in ArchiCAD to design an efficient warehouse architecture for beginners? Can you provide a step-by-step tutorial or guide that covers the process of creating a warehouse design, optimizing storage space, incorporating loading docks, and ensuring proper circulation for smooth operations, as well as creating modern forms and extracting drawings from views like sections and elevations without any advanced plugins and templates? The answer is definitive yes. In this video, we will create a complete warehouse or factory project from scratch to finish. We will cover all the necessary tools and features, as well as share valuable tips and tricks on how to effectively deliver high-quality warehouse projects in ArchiCAD, even without advanced knowledge about the software. The video may be long due to its step-by-step process, but you can check the video contents below to skip to specific parts. Without any further ado, let's get straight into ArchiCAD. Don't forget to check the project files below and also explore our WhatsApp community group link to join like-minded ArchiCAD enthusiasts for sharing knowledge and helping one another with any ArchiCAD related concerns. Of course, every project starts on a new slate, in a clean slate. As you can see, I've opened a new ArchiCAD or a fresh ArchiCAD. I'm using an ArchiCAD International version. By default, this is what you get from the out-of-the-box template. So you would get something like this with your elevations like that. So what I need to do is to select all the elevations in the elevation markers within the plan view, and then change it to something that is according to my standard. To select all of the elevations, there are two ways of doing it. I can now click one of the points here on the space, on the workspace like that, and then as I drag my cursor downwards diagonally to the first point, I can enclose these elements, all these elements within the selection rectangle. Or again, guys, it's very important, most especially if you are a beginner, you need to be always referencing to this info box or info bar. I don't know what to call info box, or down below here on the bottom left corner. Currently at the moment it says complete selection rectangle. So in AutoCAD we used to call this a command panel. I don't know, in ArchiCAD I have to find a perfect or the appropriate name for this bar. It can't be an info bar because we have an info box already here. So always reference with it. Check what's the next move of your action or action item. In this case, because I've selected or identified the first point of my selection, now it says complete the selection rectangle. This will or be by clicking or specify the second point diagonally like that. Now I could select all of my elements in all ones. So another way is to go here on the tool palettes under the viewpoints. Let me just minimize the design tool palettes like that so that I can have access to all the viewpoints here. Let's get rid of the documents. Yes, these are all the viewpoints tools. So what I need to do is to activate the elevation marker, and then I can Control A in your keyboard to select all the elements. This applies to all tools here on the tool palettes, guys. So once you're done with that, I can hit Control T to open the settings, or come here on the info box and find this setting dialog. The shortcut is Control T, like I said. If you click on it, it will give you this window to set up your elevation markers for both sections, for both elevations and for the floor plan. So in this case, I want to just focus on the markers. So I'll come down here under marker symbol and text, and then change the marker style to circle 4, and then I will click on this arrow to open another section within this marker symbol and text and activate this show reference ID box. Let's check this box because I want to reference my markers on the floor plan with their IDs from the view structures the site, so it is important. I'll move up a bit under marker. Let's set the marker size to be 15 millimeters. I'm using millimeters for this demonstration because it is my standard T. I know the units depends from country to country, and from here I'll show you how to set your own unit. So I'll check the marker size to the uniform marker pen to make it uniform so that I can change it once, and then I'm going to use the 0.15 millimeters thick weight or pen in the color pen color table. Right, once you're done with that, you can hit OK. To change your units, go to the top of your interface. There is options menu here. Let's click on that, and then if you move down, there is project preferences. That's where you can set up your working units. If you click on that, you'd see I'm currently working on millimeters. If you change, you could see we have different standards there for dimensions. So I'll leave it as it is because everything here represents what are my standards. So I'll hit cancel to continue with the project. Okay, so once you're done with the elevations, you could see now we set this to reference the ID, but nothing happened yet on our markers. So what we need to do is to come here under the project browser or project navigator under elevations, and then assign all these elevations IDs. If I had to select one, for example the east elevation, and then check down below here on the properties, we just have a name for the elevation, and you can modify it according to whatever standards you want to name your elevations. Viewpoint name, we have the viewpoint ID. That's where we want to key in the IDs of this elevation so that they can be referenced within our project or our drawing. So I would hit 01 for the east elevation. For north I'm going to give it 02. South is going to be 04 because it's downwards, and then west is going to be 03. So that's the sequence of the order of my elevation. So it's gonna start from here, 01, 02, and 3, then 4. Perfect. That's basically what I want. So to move on is to start the project itself. So we're gonna start the project by doing the site first. There is no project without site. Site give birth to the project. And to start our site, I'm going to activate the slab tool so that I can draw the geometry of the site. I could use the slab tool or use the mesh tool if you want. They both achieve the same result. In this case, I will use okay, let me just use the mesh tool. In this case, I'll click here on the design tool palette and then activate the mesh tool. Once you have activated it, you could set the material according to what you want. In this case, I will just leave it under soil. Let's make it soil. And then to place our mesh within the view, we need a geometry method that will determine on how we are going to place this mesh. We have the first option, which is polygonal. That will give you point by point in order for us to define the geometry of your mesh. We have rectangular and we have the rotated rectangle. In this case, I'm going to go with the rectangle so that I can just use 2 points like this. I'll specify the first point. Like I said, you should always reference with your info box or your instruction box or your instruction bar down below here on the bottom left corner. It says complete rectangle, but it doesn't give much in terms of that. So I need to specify the second point, but this time around I'm going to use measurement. If you see here, there's this dimensions 1 and dimension 2. It's called a tracker. So this tracks everything in terms of your elements. So now I need to use that to key in the dimensions of my site, of my plot. In this case, I am having the width or the length of 129,500,000. And then to access the height or the width, I'll use the downward arrow in your keyboard like that, and then key in the width, which is going to be 70,930. It's going to be 70,930 millimeters because I'm using millimeters, even though I know in meters it's going to be 70 meters. So 70,000, yeah, no, 70 meters, sorry. And then once you're done, hit OK in order to complete placement of your mesh. This is what I have. I don't like to have the mesh with cover fill because that would take a lot from my GPU. So in most cases, if you have too many elements with cover fills in ArchiCAD, it will start accumulating a lot of data or points, and then ultimately make your file start to crash. So that's one of the important key, guys, to understand within ArchiCAD. Don't get misled by having the nice things done by the cover fill or fields within your files. Just have minimal. Simplicity sometimes is the complexity. If you know, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so let's select this mesh and come here under floor planning section. What I need to do is to come under the cover fills and uncheck this box for cover fill. Perfect. You could come again and set up whatever or graphics or your pen sets or pen colors of your mesh. In this case, I'm going to use it the thickest pen in this ArchiCAD default pen styles is 0.35. I'm going to use it 0.35 millimeters, and then set the line type to be dashed triple, something like that. So if you click outside, wow, I said I wanted to change the color, the pen color for the line type. So let's just go back again, or we change the one for the cut line pen. You need to be mindful, guys, because here we have cut elements and then uncut elements. Cut elements are the elements that are going to be represented on your section. So the way we've done here, we're changing the line type for this mesh on a section when it's been cut, right? I'm going to use on the cut. Okay, let's just leave it on the cut there, and then also on uncut, which is on the view, on the floor plans, let's have it also 0.35 millimeters, right? Perfect. So that's basically what I have, and then I need to reorganize and position my elevation markers within this, and it has to cater or be around the site. But for now, yes, it's fine. I can also come and do it later when I've had the geometry or the footprint of the building where I want it to be positioned. I can do it by using a slab tool. Let's go to the design tool palette and then activate your slab tool here. What I want from my slab is to go here under the info box, right? If you scroll your wheel here, you will access some of the hidden parameters there. What I need to do is to change the the structure of this slab to be basic, because I just don't want to confuse myself and you guys. Just to have a basic structure. Make sure the material is concrete structural because it's a slab, right? And then I can come here again under floor planning section and change the pens for this. So under uncut line pen, I could go with something 0.15, but would I have to bother much element by element changing this pens? No, I have another secondary method where I can overrule all the elements within the view once or automatic. So don't worry, guys, just throw everything as you like or as you please, and later on we would see the best way is to use graphic override combinations to control your line weights within your file. Okay, for the time being, let's just leave the default pen sets for each element. So I would use the geometry method again for placing the slab, which is rectangular. Let's click the first point diagonally like this. I'm going to key in the dimensions of the footprint of this project. So the length is going to be 96 meters, 96,150 or 96,150, which is 96.150. Okay, and then I'll use downward arrow and key in again the height or the width of this is going to be 40 by 3, sorry, 4300, which is 40,300 millimeters. Again, 40,300 millimeters, which is equivalent to 40,000 meters. Okay, and then I'll hit enter to place my slab. So I would activate the arrow tool or hit escape in your keyboard to cancel the command. Every time the arrow tool, if you are using Photoshop, you know the arrow tool is, or the move tool, whatever, is the home button to reset everything, or hit escape in your keyboard. So what I need to do is to control D in your keyboard in order for you to move this element to the position you want. I want to move it right on this corner. Perfect, like this. And then from here, I'll control D again, or you can just pick one of the points. On the pet palette, you would have this drag command. If you activate this drag command, you can now drag or move your elements. That they call it drag in ArchiCAD, to move. So you can now drag this vertically by, I want to move it because this has to cater both the parkings, circulation, loading, offloading, off and loading bays or loading docks, and loading bays. So I will have the offset of, I'll start with 5 meters to cater for the parking, hit enter, and then I'll control D again, move it up. And then this time around I'll key for the circulation, which is going to be 6 meters, right? Enter. And then I'll also cater for the let's cater for the 5 meters or 6 meters again for the loading and offloading bays, and then hit enter. Okay, now we have a total of we can use this measure tool, activate it, and then I can now measure this distance and find it's around 17 meters. That should be fine for our circulation and parking, offloading and loading bay. Should be fine. Okay, so I'll hit escape to cancel the measure tool, or you can use a shortcut of M in your keyboard to measure. And then once you're done with this, I need now to have a frontage setback, or whatever the distance between, or the side of the front. So I'll control D again and move it this side. This side I'm going to just have let's say 8 meters. Really, 8 meters. I'll add 4 meters on top of that. No, because we need to have another parking here, guys. So normally I will add I think let's do something like yeah, 10 meters. Yeah, so that we can cater for at least 5 to 6 parking bays somewhere here. All right, it looks great. Okay, so once you're done with that, we have the site extents. We have now the footprint of the building. So what I need to do is to position my elevations markers around or within the view of the footprint of the building, because at the end of the day, these elevation markers are live, guys, because they have to extract data from the model. So if you don't position it accordingly, it will give you the wrong information. So what I need to do is to pick one of the points here and then stretch it so that it can cater for the entire width of the building, like that, something like this. And then I'll do the same to this one, control D, and then move it down here. You can now click on the point to stretch it using the stretch command in your pet palette, like that. And do the same to this one, select it, and then control D to drag it closer to your building footprint and stretch to the length of the, or the width of the building. Lastly, this one I'll stretch all the way to there. Even this one I'll stretch all the way to there. Okay, perfect. Now I've got my act organized or together. So I need to move on into the other element, which is the access and then the road to this plot or to this building. So, and then later on do the circulation and then the parking markings, loading markings, and circulation representation within the site. Ultimately, this creates your site plan, guys. So I like a sense of when you do your modeling, you do it once, and then when it comes to documenting, you extract information, a true information and accurate information from your model. So that is why I emphasize a lot on the methodology on how you are assembling your project visually. It is important. There's no point of doing the 3D and then comment again on the documentation part and waste time there. Do it once within the process or period of modeling, and then later on enjoy the benefits or reap what you sow, reap your rewards. Okay, so let's say for the road and access, I'm going to use the slab again. Let's pick parameters of this slab that we already placed, or we can come here and activate another slab. But there is a point why we want to reuse the slab that we already placed, because we already set the parameters to whatever extent. So to speed up the process, instead of setting or starting all over again, setting up your slab again, it's better to pick parameter of this slab and then reuse it. To pick parameter in ArchiCAD, you could use this pick parameter tool, or you can use a shortcut of Alt and Hold in your keyboard. Once you Alt and Hold, your cursor will change or turn into this, and now I can click on the slab to pick parameters of the slab. This automatically to update your info box and activate the slab tool there. So now I can draw my slab with the correct parameters or settings. So for this, I'm going to key in the width of the road, which is going to be 9 meters, and then I'm not gonna care much on the length of it, because I can just say 13 meters. Oh, sorry, I said 1.3 instead of 13 meters. So I can now select and pick the edge. Let's pick this edge and then activate offset edge in your pet palette, so that you can increase the length of your road like that. Okay, so once you're done with that, let's move it closer to the boundary. I'll control D while it's being selected, and then to move it right there. Perfect. And then I want to create the distance between the boundary and then the road. There should be the gap there, which is going to be 4.5 or 4,500 millimeters. So I'll control D in your keyboard, and then I'll select this, move it horizontal like that, and then key in the value on which you want to move your element, which is 4.5. Perfect. I would have to have the same arrangement this side. We have another road this side, right? So what I need to do here is to add a point. We have to maintain the same distance between the plot and then the road. So I would Alt L to activate the guideline, and then draw a guideline from the boundary to the road of 4.5 or 4,000 millimeters. Okay, once we're done with this, I can now select the road slab, and then select on the edge, or pick this edge. In the pet palette, we want to activate insert a node, or insert a new node. I'm very uncomfortable, guys, to repeat this word more and more, so I like to use points because it is a point. I'll insert a new point here because it is a point at the end of the day. I don't know why the node concept came from. So once you've inserted the point here, we want to align it with this guideline. So I will pick this point and then use the move point, so that I can move it vertically like this, and then hold and shift so that I restrict it moving vertically like that. So then I can reference with the line or the guideline like that. Perfect. So once you're done with that, I want to add another point from this, and that should cater for the width of the road, which is 9 meters. And I'm going to show you another trick to use guides in order for you to manipulate your elements. In this case, we want to add another point here, and then offset this edge all the way to create another road, right? So that you can have a junction here, T junction. So I will let me pick one of the points, or one of the edge here. I'll pick the edge to insert a point, right? Once we've inserted the point, while you're still in the process here to place the point, let's put our cursor right on this point and wait for it to be circled with a blue circle, so that if you move it down like that, if you move it down, you start to see your cursor, your tracker readings. Okay, your cursor readings like that, and you can key in the distance between the two elements. I haven't tried this before, gents. I'm trying it right on this video and see how it will work. I've been thinking about this for a very long time. So if I say if I say this should be 9,000, which is 9 meters, wow, it didn't work. I'm sorry guys, that couldn't go the way I thought it would. So in this case, it's fine. What I need to do is to draw a guideline from here that will represent the width of the road. Okay, or I can just, let me hit undo in your keyboard to undo that. Okay, or another way to manipulate this is to pick this point, because I had it right there, and then on the pet palette we want to add a polygon, right? I'll click this, add a polygon, and then come here again, pick one of the points or edge. Let's draw a polygon to this direction, and we can also use the tracker to key in the dimensions of this additional polygon. So the distance on the length, let's just keep it on 140, and then move downwards by using the downwards arrow, and this should be the same width with the other road, which is 9 meters or 9,000. Perfect. This is what I wanted to create. And then the plot, I forgot, the plot here is being chamfered, so I'm going to pick this point, and on the pet palette, let's fillet or chamfer. This is going to chamfer by, I think it's 7 meters if I remember very well. Plot 7 meters. Hit enter. Oh no, I didn't want to round it, I wanted to chamfer. Let's hit undo instead of, and then redo it again. Instead of using fillet where you want chamfer, let's change this to 10. Yeah, something like that. I think it should, the significant amount, let's just move it to 6 meters, something like this. Perfect. It looks great. And we need to create a proper junction here by picking these 2 points and round them. So I'll pick this one, and then on the pet palette, round or fillet. This time around we want to fillet instead of chamfer. We could use I think let's use 5 meters, which is 5,000. It looks small. Let's go for 10 meters, which is going to be 10,000. 10,000, yes. And then do the same to this one. Perfect. So we have this kind of a junction, and our building will take both the views from these 2 sides, this side, and then we have another good view from this side to the road. Okay, so let's now move on to create access and then do the circulation to the plot. So what I need to do here is to have an access. So I would go under the document tools. Let's minimize everything there and then expand the document tools. I'll pick the polyline tool here, and then I'll draw a line, a rectangle line using rectangle geometry here. That will be of 4.5 by, this will represent the width of the gate, which is going to be 6 meters, the access. Okay, so that's basically it. And then from the road, I want to position from the road, so I would Control D to move it right on this corner, sorry, and then Control D again to move it downwards, so that I can now position it with an accurate measurement. It has to be 15 meters, because when it's not 15 meters, it should be 25 meters. So I need to add another 10 meters. Is it 10? Yeah, something like this, because I have to have another axis here of let's Control Shift D to copy this line as well and move it right to the corner there. And then I can now, it wasn't necessary for me to do this. I can just delete this line, guys, and then select it, pick one of the points, and then let's add a polygon. We're going to add a polygon of 4.5 by we can say 9 meters. Perfect. So we have the exit of the site here, because we're catering for trucks, heavy duty trucks, guys. So your circulation has to be on point when it comes to tracks within the site. So here to be the entrance, so I need to pick one of the points or the edge of this slab, sorry, the mesh, and then add another polygon again for this. Let's get rid of this line, it was unnecessary, right? So we have access here and then access, exit from the outside. This is, it looks too small, it's 6 meters. Let's make it 10 meters. I will pick this line and then offset to increase it to be 10 meters. Let's increase it by 4 meters. Yeah, that's great. And let's round the corners, pick one of these fillet or chamfer, and then use 4.5. I think 4.5 is too much. Let's use 2.5. Perfect. Do the same to this corner, 2.5. Could use the same here, but for this it's fine. Let's just leave it the way it is for that. And that's basically what I wanted. And then I'm gonna fill in these islands, right, with another different mesh. So let's go here under design and then activate the mesh tool. I'll fill this area. In order for me to fill again this island, I have to close it off here. So I would use under the documents, let's use a line tool to close off this to create a region, so that I can pick parameters again for the mesh and then fill in there. Oh, we already have this, so I can now, because of the guideline, that is where it has to stop. We couldn't manage to continue all the way. Guidelines works, guys, as a line, but it's a temporary line or imaginary line. So in this case, I would pick this edge and then offset it all the way to the length of the road, and I would get rid of this line. Remember, guys, drafting elements, 2D drafting elements, they have to make sense. If they don't make sense, delete them, because normally I use them for just performing some activity, but once I've done, try to eliminate it there and there, because if you leave it, they will start accumulating, start leaving some lines there lying without making any sense, and then ultimately it becomes a huge mess and your project becomes of a substandard. Okay, so you would see now everything's starting to make sense in terms of the layout, the site, the footprint, and the access. Okay, so I would create the island again all the way to the building here, so that you can have extra parkings here for the visitors. What I need to do is to pick this point and add a polygon again. Let's add a polygon and draw. Make sure within your polygon geometries you have options as well, but in most cases you'll find yourself using rectangular method, unless otherwise of the situation you are in. If it's a irregular form or geometry, you have to go with point by point, as if you are drawing a polyline. But in this case, I'm just gonna go with the rectangle, where I can just draw a rectangle of 25 meters by, let's make it 1.5 or 2 meters, 2 meters, something like this. 25 meters was huge. Let me just offset it all the way to there. Okay, perfect. So this is the plan, and then I can also cap it here. Let's add another polygon just for the sake of this will be 2 meters by 12 meters. Sorry, let's just offset all the way to here. Perfect. This will create provisional parkings to this area. So now once you're done with this, let's create the markings and then the circulation method. Create for that. There are ways of doing that, gentlemen. I'll start with the parking markings, most especially at this point, right? There are different ways of showing markings in ArchiCAD. There is even an object that you can use. If you activate the object tool and then open its settings, there's an object. If you search here, parking, let's search for parking. This is the object. You can do this and then hit OK, place it there, right? and then I can select this object, position it, Control D, and position it to there. And then I can pick one of the points and then stretch it to increase the number of parkings like that. Okay, in total we have 8 parkings. That's a good part of this object. It will start counting number of parkings already, or computing the parkings already, depending on the criteria you've set. For if we open the settings of this, you would see the minimal parking place width is 2.5. You have option to show the numbering on side 2, depending on how you want it to be. So you can also choose to have a disabled parking in one here because it's closer to the entrance of the building. So I'll have a disabled parking there. You have the stripe settings. You could set it. I don't like to be 200. I'll make it 100 so that it makes sense. Okay, you could show the first stripe or on the last stripe. It depends. I like to show the first stripe. Okay, no, I don't think it will make sense because the first stripe is going to be this one on the edge. So let's just leave it blank. Let's just leave it blank like that. Perfect. And let's create our disabled parking, this area. I don't know, we have an option to set the width of the disabled parking. Yes, we can. Let's check. The width should be 3 meters in our region. 3 meters, right? Yes. Okay, that's basically what I wanted to create. So we have another parking series of parkings here. I'll take the same object, Control Shift D to carry a copy. Another way to carry a copy of this is to select it like this and then pick one of the points to activate to move in your pet palette or drag. And then while you are still in this mode, you can hit Control to add a copy. You'd see your cursor adding a plus or starting to change to a plus like this, representing that you've carried or you're carrying a copy. So I'll place it here and Control D. Let's Control D and move it. Our parking would start somewhere here. Okay, and then I can this side I'm not going to have any disabled parking, so let's open its settings and then get rid of that. Hit OK, and then I can stretch it all the way maybe to somewhere there, and then I can Control Shift D and I have another series of parking there, because here I'm going to reserve this space for the turning reverse radius for the big trucks, because we're having the loading docks on the side of our building. Perfect. So now it's the time for us to indicate the circulation of this site. So this, guys, there are different ways of doing it again. So if I come here and then activate a slab tool, change the material to be, okay, let's just leave the material as a slab. What I need to do is to change the surface. Let's open the settings and then override the surfaces under model section. Let's find a paint white or paint glossy, something like this. Just the white paint will be. Make sure all the surfaces are being linked to change them all once, and then hit OK like that. So once you're done with that, I'll start my direction of the flow of traffic here. Let's draw a slab of 200 by 100. Okay, it looks small. Let's increase the length by clicking on the edge and then use offset edge. Make it let's add 200 or no, 300. Yeah, something like this. Still looks too small. I think 500 will do. Okay, and what we want to do here is to create an arrow, gentlemen, is to create an arrow. So what I need to do is to Control Shift E, and then I'll rotate it based on this midpoint, right? Control Shift E is to rotate, it's a shortcut to rotate, and then I want to rotate it from the rotation radius will be this midpoint, and then I can now indicate the radial or radius of the rotation. So it's going to be clicking this point, and then it's going to be something like that. Okay, and I'm going to offset this edge all the way to here, maybe make it 400. Okay, and then I'm going to control shift M. Again, I'm going to use this midpoint to do it that way. So that creates an arrow, but this arrow is not clean because there are too many lines onto the feature. We need to clean up that. In order for us to clean up this, what I need to do is to select this one and then use subtract from polygon. I'm going to subtract it from this polygon like that. Oh, by the way, it's not impressive. I don't think it's what I meant to do. Okay, so I could select this one and then add a point. Let's add a point here, right? And then take this point, let's move it there, right? And then add another point on this line, move it there, do the same to that side, and repeat the same operation to the other side to create your arrow like that. These are the things that sometimes you have to create them, and once you are done with them, it's a question of how you're going to reuse this into other project or even within your file. Okay, how you're going to use it? By the look of things, it looks too small. I can control. Let's increase the size of this by scaling it up. To scale up in ArchiCAD, you can go here, selecting element, go to the edit and find the reshape button, and then you can resize or control K in your keyboard. Once this window pop out, just hit OK, and then I can just pick the reference side that I want to scale it up. So in this case, it's going to be this line, and then I'm going to move it, maybe make it 1.5, something like this. Okay, now from the top view, you could see now it's starting to be visible. So I would just position it somewhere here, right? And then I'll control D, put it somewhere there, control C. Oh, I made a copy instead of control D. It's supposed to be say control shift D. Sorry about that, guys. I don't want to mislead anyone here. Okay, so that indicates the direction to this parking. We need to have another same arrow, but in inverse of this to this way, right? And in order for me to place all the arrows around the side here, I need to find best way, because clearly copying and dragging copies, it will take me ages to complete. You can see how big the site is. So the best way is to okay, I can manipulate the site geometry, right? And then select it and pick one of the points. Let's use this time around offset all edges. We want to offset all edges like that, right? Okay, let's just put it somewhere here. Oh, sorry about that. I could have offsetted a copy. Let's do the same. And then while you are still in the process like this of offsetting, you can hit Control to add a copy. Perfect. And then click to the position like that. So I would zoom in here and then select this guy here. But before I select him, and for reusability purposes, it's better you make it an object, right? If I had to go to File and then Libraries and Objects and save selection as an object, and then let's name it or give it a name, arrow. Let's just say arrow. Save. You could set this and create this to be parametric, but for this case I don't want to confuse anyone here. It is just to show you the basic way of reusing elements into your future project, because as an object it will be easy for you to manipulate around your site or around your project like that. And then I can hit OK to do that. So to place it, let's come here on the objects, and by default I get to pick the previous created object. So I need to place it somewhere here. That's the object. Now I can select the, where is it? It's not selectable, I don't know what. Okay, you can activate the object tool and then Control A in your keyboard. Here it is, but it will select also the parking markings because they are also an object. But I can escape everything again, and then if I find a hotspot here, it will start to pick. Perfect. Let's Control D and position it to align it with this line, and then I'll pick one of the points here. On your pet palette this time around, I'm going to introduce another tool called Multiply. Let's click on that, and we're going to use the drag or move multiplication. So that means we can only do it on a 2D method. So the graphical input is going to be increment and spread, and make sure the pick path before input is being checked, and also rotate to path is being checked, and then hit OK. So the first thing that we need to do is to input the path. The path is this line that we created. I'm going to click it and then bring it back to its original place. Now if I run around, oh no, you see there's something wrong with the multiplication, because I wanted to multiply along this path. Okay, so let's hit escape and recorrect this. Let's go back again, click the object, multiply, then let's say what might be the problem here, because everything appears to be perfectly fine. Okay, so here is the problem. The problem is our path. So instead of using the manipulating our mesh, so I'm going to get rid of it. Let's just delete it. Right, what I need to do is to maybe draw a polyline. I'll draw a polyline starting from here by using a geometry method of polygonal, so that I can pick point by point, drawing like that. Okay, oh, what is this line for? Let's get rid of that. Perfect. Now if we select our line and then pick one of the points to offset it, let's offset the edge to align it with our object somewhere here. Right, we can use now this this side we need to offset this edge to all the way to be the center point. I'm going to say offset all edge so that it can be on the midpoint of this road. Same applies to this side. We have to assume the midpoint is somewhere here. Okay, this side is perfect. So now let's do the magic. Select the object, right, pick one of the points, multiply, and make sure the pick path before input is checked, rotate to path, it's also checked. Let's hit OK. I would select the path first, and then I can just place the path next to whatever, just anyway is fine, as long as it's closer to the object, or you put it here, it will work. So, and I can now define the distance between the elements. So I think 10 meters will be fine, or you can just key in your value like that. Now you can now run your multiplication of your elements all the way to this point, and then click to complete, and take advantage of the selection and make sure you group by Control G to group all the elements, because it is important, or it's one of the best practices in ArchiCAD. Elements that are related, or that are, you have to group them, because for editing purposes and controlling, managing your file. Perfect. So that's basically what we created so far. I can now select the line and get rid of it. Perfect. We have our lines, parkings, and loading bays will be located here. That will be determined by the doors that we're going to create into our building in the next section. Okay, now we move on to another step for this project, to set up the grid system of this, because this is a big project. Big projects, you would want to use the grid system to manage your structural elements, and then you can create our foundations and other likes. So let's do that. I'll go to the design tool palette or design menu from the top of your interface, and then if you scroll down here, you find this grid system tab. Let's click on that to give us this window. But what we need to show here, I can just explain it briefly how this does work. So we have place. The place button section is where we can identify elements that we want to place within the points of our grid system. In this case, we don't have to place anything perfectly. or fortunately we don't have to show anything in our grid system. We just want them clean as whistle. So if we move down here, we have the grid element settings, whereby if you click on this tab, you can manually access the parameters for each grid. And then let's say we want on the floor plan, by the way, we are on the floor plan section, and then we can also have the settings for section and elevations, right? Let's start from the floor plan. We change the line type to be I want this dash double, okay, and let's just leave the pen at pen 4. I think pen 4 is fine. If we move it down here on section, I'll do the same for section. Let's change the line type to where is dash double? Okay, dash double is this one. And on the elevations, we don't want to show both markers or markers on both ends. We just want to show it on the top. So I'm going to get rid of this one at the bottom, right? And then once you are done with that, I think everything is fine. You could change also the marker geometry if you want. Square, we're limited to only these 4 shapes, so I don't think there is much of that. I'll just leave it on circle here and then hit OK. Once we hit OK, let's move down here under the grid position. This is the very important part, because this way we are setting out our system. So from the horizontal grid elements, what we need here is only 2 grids. Sorry, and then we're gonna get rid of this ones. Let's select one of this and then use this minus to subtract, so that we can have A to B, and distance between A to B should be 40 meters, right? 40 meters, okay. And then this side we're going to have 17 of our grids, so I'm going to add more up to 17. Oh, we added more than that. Let's reduce to 17. Okay, and the distance between this should be 6, and I already placed them at 4.8 because it's normally it picks the previous distance and then it repeats it all the way. I could have let's just undo. I could have set the distance first. For example, let's make it 6 meters, which is 6,000, and then if you add, now it will add within the same distance up to 17, right? And I think once we are done with this, we are good to go. On again, we have this what you call on how we want to assign or place our grid in the file. And then also we have the anchoring as well. Would you want to place it from the bottom or from the top? In this case, I want to start from the top, right? And then the markers should be on the top for the numbers, and then for the horizontal one should be on the side. And then I'm going to get rid of this one. Perfect. So it's also important to understand, because it will confuse you if you don't understand these rules before you place it. So that if you hit OK, and now you could see my grid for surely graphically, you could see they are in a correct manner. So what I need to do is to click on this point and draw it horizontally like that. Perfect. Now I have my letters this side and my numbers this side. So if we see this between this, I need to move my grid system by half of the wall, so it's going to be around 150, so that it can cater for both sides. We have this 150 this side. I think this side we don't need that. This side we don't need that. Okay, perfect. So our drawing is starting to take shape. Guys, I don't know what this for. What is this? I don't know where this came from. Let's just get rid of that. It will start confusing you. Okay, so once you are done with your grid system, for the first time, let's just activate the 3D window. Okay, I know the positions of other elements will be horrible like that, and we need to select our mesh and set it to be, because this is going to be paved, right? I'm going to change its surface by clicking on the settings here to open the settings for our thing. Let's change the top surface to be paving. We can pave, let's search for paving and see what's available there. Let's go for the asphalt light, hit OK. I think for the road, let's also override the top surface or even the sides to be paving as well. This time around I'm gonna go for dark color, make sure the surfaces are linked, and then hit OK. Just have something like this. Perfect. You could see our drawing or model is starting to take shape now, but the problem is our objects, right? The problem with our objects, the height of the objects is around 150. Let's make it small. It has to be at least 20 millimeters. Oh, no, I changed the wrong one. Let's undo. Should be this one. Let's make it 20. That's good part of using an object. You see, now I can just quickly change the dimensions or the parameters of this. If it was a slab, yes, I could do that, but on a limited scale. So this is going to be 20 like that. Okay, so we have now our site like that. I don't know why this is not okay. You know what, I would want to raise a bit of this. Okay, I'll select both this. To add a selection, hold shift and then click the second element to select. So I'm going to set this to be the offset to be the base offset from the ground to be -100, so that you can create a little bit of that. Or maybe let's make it 50. Yes, if you make it 50 to give you this, so that you can have a different height. Perfect, it looks great. All right, okay, let's go back to our ground. Now we need to move forward and create the base of our building, which is the foundation. To do that, we're gonna come here on the project browser or project navigator, and then let's right click on one of the views here, one of the stories, sorry, or you can hit Ctrl+7 to access the story settings. So if you hit, or if you right click on top of one of the stories, and then you can say story settings, or like I said, Ctrl+7 or Ctrl+7 in your keyboard as a shortcut. What you want here is to insert another story below ground level to create our foundation. So I'm gonna say insert below, and then this I'm gonna name it foundation, right? And then the height of this we're going to make it 1.5 deep. Okay, 1.5 deep, or if not 2 meters deep. But okay, for the sake of this demonstration, let's just leave it there. I'll hit OK. If you want to add another story above, you could select the last story and then insert above. If you want to delete, you do the same thing. You select the story that you want to delete and then delete. Remember, deleting, you have to be careful because it will mess up your project if you already have elements that are within that story view. Okay, in this case I could delete story 2 and story 1 because they're literally nothing there. But if I were to delete ground, it will eliminate all this progress that I've made. So let's hit OK to apply changes. Now we have our the foundation story or view introduced to the list of the stories there. If you click and then open that, that's what you get. So we want to see also the grid system here. I don't know why it's not showing, because maybe the layer is off. Normally the layer of grid system is under structural grids, right? So if you come here, let's find the layer combination for this. So if you move down below your interface, we would find the layers. Let's find the layer settings here, which are this area. So currently we are at, this view is under the layer combination of drafting. Let's check the ground floor. Ground floor is also on the drafting layer combination, but I don't know why these grids are not showing from. No, but it makes sense. Grids are supposed to show only on the ground. Okay, I think they're perfectly positioned. So what we can do here from the ground, from the foundation, we need to reference our ground by right clicking on it and then share as a trace reference. Or you come here on the top of your interface and then there's this trace, right? And then you have to click on the arrow and choose the story or the view that you want to trace. It says above current story, below current story, or you can just browse for trace reference and then it will give you all the list of the stories to pick from or choose from. In this case, it's going to be the story above, which is the ground on our foundation. Okay, so now we have this referenced grayed out elements in order for us to start placing our foundation. Our foundations are going to be based on walls, right? Let's say activate our wall tool, right? And then I'll change the geometry method to be, in this case, to be, let's use this what you call the polygonal method, right? And then I'm gonna change the structure to just a basic like I did for other structural elements, and then change the material to be just a normal brick structural. Okay, and I want to use the grid system to place this. So in that manner, I need to change the reference line of my wall to be on the center, okay, so that I can use the grids to place these walls. If you open the settings of the walls, we want to override the surfaces. Let's find I'll just go for a dark paint dark gray, and then I'll link all the surfaces to be the same surface, then hit OK. I'll start tracing over here in order to draw my walls. So you could see it's been linked to the ground floor, so that means ultimately the height is going to be 1.5. so that's automatic, it's automated. So you could change if you don't want to link it. Maybe you want to have a specific height, you could say not link, and then you have to key in manually the link. But in this case, it's perfectly fine. We want to control our heights of elements by the story levels. So I would pick drawing here. Like I said, I want to use the center or the midpoint of the walls to place this because I'm using grids, right? And then let's just draw it over like that. Draw over to this corner, come down the road, do the same, and then come here. That is where we are going to have our offloading. So I'm going to have a kink here of a kink of 10 meters, right? Then go the way to other grid, go back like that, and then we go back, we skip one grid, and then we repeat the same. So I would shift and hold to restrict this vertical so that I can align it with that, or I can just type in 10 meters. So I do the same. Perfect. So basically that's the foundation, or that's the geometry or the support of our structure. In terms of that, I think we need to increase this because tracks can be more than, they can't be 10 meters long. Do you have tracks that are more than 10 meters? But for the sake of the thing, I will ungroup this, because let's ungroup or suspend group, or Alt G in your keyboard. I'll activate this, and then I'll pick these two walls, Control D, move it back maybe by 5 meters. Let's just 5 meters like that, and then I'll select let's select these two walls and then add a copy by shift hold. Let's add this one to the selection as well. Then I'm going to use the intersect tool on the top menu on the interface here to intersect those, and do the same. Select this one, hold shift, select, and then select that, intersect as well. Perfect. I think I'm good to go. I'm pretty much impressed with the way it pans out. What I need to do now is to add a footing as a support for this, a concrete footing. as it is now, it doesn't have that. So if you zoom in down here, you'd find that's just your walls. So we're gonna manipulate these walls again in order for us to place footing. So to manipulate it, let's select one of the walls and go to options, complex profiles, and capture profile of selection. Okay, so that it will give us this profile for our walls. So we just need to add a footing down the base. So I will come here, because here only works with fields. So let's, as you can see, most of the tools here are grayed out because you cannot use them, especially from the design tool palettes. Even on viewport, there's nothing you can do. On the document side, we have a couple of active tools here, but most part is the fill because it represents material. So if I activate the fill, and I can use, I'll choose a different material here. I want concrete structure to be consistent. Let's go with that. Let me draw a base, a concrete base of I would say 800 by 300. Okay, that is the base, and let's select that, and we have to move it by the midpoint to here. Control D, use the midpoint, and then place it under your walls like that. This nominal height can shift, you can drag it out like that, and hit save in your profile manager window. It would say, I would say just 14. Hit OK. So if you come back to our foundation, we need to select all of our walls. Because we have one selected, what we need to do is just to ungroup, or to group and then select everything, or suspend the whatever groups tab, and then we can now do it, apply. You cannot apply in grouped elements, so it's better you activate the suspend once you've selected all of them, so that you can say apply. You will see now everything is being applied on 3D. Perfect. So if I were to cut a section that I didn't have a section place here, so let's go here under viewpoints and activate the section tool. I'm gonna cut a section right on this grid like that, all the way. Let me just cut a section all the way to the road like that, because it will help us also to position our elements vertically. And then let's stretch the length of it to go across the entire plot. If you right click to open the section while it's being selected. So this is how we have this. You see our footing or foundation wall right on the edge of our slab. We can decide if we want to put the slab inside or have another wall starting on top of this going all the way. I think it makes sense that way. It makes sense that way. We can increase the height of our wall to some certain degree. Okay, but what I want this wall to continue all the way to a height of 1.5 there. So if I had to Alt L to draw a guideline of 1.5 from here to there, that means I'm going to increase the complex profile or the profile of the foundation to this height. So I can say another measure. Let's activate the measure tool from the top of our footing all the way to here is going to be 3 meters. Okay, so I'm going to go back here on the profile manager tool, or we have already our profile opened here. We can hit this tab and then set this or increase this by clicking on this edge, then activate offset edge, add 1.5 going up, and then I can now move again this to there. Let's select these 2 hotspots, and with this line, Control D to drag it all the way to up. Oh, so we need also to stretch these ones down like that, down there. I don't know why this. Okay, these are hotspots. Let's just move them. They were supposed to be up. I'll do this hotspot supposed to be here, and then this one also there. Once you're done, you save to apply the changes in your 3D. So if we check, there will be that. What happened? Okay, let's check on section. We should have the wall continuing all the way. Maybe I would need to say didn't update automatically. I don't know why it didn't update. Let's select all this and then apply. Yes, now we see them. I don't know why it didn't apply automatically. Okay, I think I'm done with the profile manager. I can get rid of this window. Yes, and then move to the next element. Okay, so at this stage we're moving forward and we're going to do the offices for this warehouse. We're going to have the main entrance or the admin side of this project. So let's just go back to the plan view, and then on the ground floor, let's zoom in here. This is the area where we're going to have the main entrance for this. So we need to capture that here. So what I need to do is to take this wall, or I draw a guideline. I will Alt L to draw a guideline from this wall, and this line should be 9 meters. All right, 9,000 millimeters, something like that. And then I'll have a vertical wall that goes all the way to that. Let's go to design and activate our wall tool, and it should stay within the same material, which is brick structural. This time around I'm going to change the reference location to the outside, and then I'm going to link it to the upper story. The thickness of it, it's fine around 300. So I'm going to draw a line. I'll start from the guideline here, going all the way, and hold shift to restrict it vertical. If you hold shift, and then I can close it off there. Right click and then hit OK. Let's move down here and then move arrow or escape, then select the wall. Let's use this arrow at the top of our interface, adjust, or control plus dash. Click on it, and then we can select the wall at which we want to adjust this wall. So I'm going to select that. It will automatically drag it all the way to there. All right, we have a couple of offices and main entrances here, and then you have another one there. Let's come zoom in here, and then what I need to do is to take a copy of this wall. Let's say Control Shift D, drag it on the left side by 9.8 meters, and then we would have another wall, but instead of drawing a wall, let's draw a guideline. Alt L, a guideline from here. No, sorry, should start from the edge of the wall. Alt L, we should start right here on the edge of the wall, going down. This should be 17 meters. Okay, that will demarcate the space of our offices. So I'll pick parameters of this wall and then draw from this guideline. Right, what's going on here? Okay, pick parameters of this wall. Instead of using the chained method or point by point method, I'm going to change by clicking and hold this, change it to the just a normal 2 points placement, so that I can pick this point and then specify the second point. Then let's select this wall and adjust it like we did previously. Adjust it to this wall, just like that. Okay, so I need to trim off this wall by, I can come here and then activate trim, or control and hold in your keyboard. Oh, trim, and then get rid of that. Okay, so we have this, and this wall should continue all the way. I can just pick this point and drag it all the way to there. That ultimately create the other side of the wall of our entrance. So I'm going to Control Shift D and carry again this wall along this, going down by, let's make it 8 meters. That will be the area for, I can trim off this wall and then delete This will be an area for the entry lobby and staircase and lifts. We're gonna have a staircase here, but at the moment it looks huge. Okay, instead of making it 9 meters, let's make it 6 meters. So I'll Alt L again. Oh, what's going on? Alt L, draw a guideline of 6 meters. Take this wall, Control D, drag it all the way to there. By Shift hold to restrict your movement vertical. Okay, and then we need to create, like I said, a staircase here, and then lifts, a lift or elevator somewhere there. But again, we need to create an entry lobby sort of. So I'm going to take another guideline. Let's Alt L, draw another guideline from here. This should be 3 meters. 3 meters of guide, and then I'll pick parameters by Alt and hold and click on this wall to pick parameters of that wall and draw your 3 meters all the way to there. Let's escape or arrow tool, select this wall, go to the top of your interface, pick the adjust tool, adjust it to there, just like that. Okay, and I think I made a mistake. This wall wasn't supposed to go all the way up, this one. So because we have some slabs here, so what I need to do, I need to select this wall. Let's select the wall, and what I need to do is to, because it's under the, I can right click and then go to edit selected composite profile, because it's a complex profile element that gives us this. I'm going to take it, and then instead of editing it or modifying it, I'm going to make a copy, right, by clicking on this plus sign. If you click on it, it will ask you to duplicate, right? Then I'll just leave it at footing in brackets 1 and then hit OK, so that I can come and edit this. Let's hit on edit here and select this edge, then drag it down or offset the edge down by 1.5, because we don't want it to continue all the way to the height of the other walls. Now I can select these two hotspots, Control D to move them to the place. Select also this 2D line. 2D lines, they don't have any impact on our, I can just leave them here. Let's just save. And if you check on 3D, this is the wall that we don't want it to go all the way. So I'm going to, the suspend group is active. Let's select this wall and then apply, so that it's been restricted down below. Perfect, that's what I wanted. I can hit close like that. Like I said, this will be the main entry lobby, and then here to be a reception and your staircases. Okay, so let's go on the ground. I think reception looks too small as well for both elevator and the staircase. We can increase or enlarge by, because this area, if I measure by hitting M on the keyboard, this is around 6 meters. It's too tight. It will be too tight for the reception desk. What do you think? Okay, for the sake of this demonstration, let me just leave it the way it is now, for the sake of this. But if you were to do a proper project, follow the standards, right? Okay, let's see what we created so far on 3D. We've created this kind of, we have some series of offices this side, another offices here, the other ones will be there. This will be a corridor, another corridor there. So if I go back again to the floor plan, then I want to create a corridor here. I'll select this wall, Control Shift D, move it alongside each other like that, so that if I move it to the right by 1.5, which is the corridor or the passage, to service these offices, and then I can now get rid of that. This passage will service offices for both sides, and I can partition the offices if I want, like so. I'm not gonna bother much with what you call, with the the spaces sizes or measurements. So Control Shift M of these ones, and then I'm going to use this to mirror a copy to that side. Let's move it back to there, and then I'm going to activate trim by control hold in your keyboard so that I can go trim like that. Oh, what? It uses a guide to trim, but I wanted to use this wall to trim, so let's just adjust it to the wall. Perfect. So ultimately that creates our offices, right? And then this side as well, like I said, we're gonna have a corridor somewhere here, or maybe doors coming from this side. So I'm not that much concerned with that, guys, because what I want to is to show the entire workflow. If I had to spend much of time on the small items like this, we won't finish because this video is going to be very long. Okay, so let's leave it as it is there. What we can do, we can just place a staircase. Let's say activate the staircase tool. I don't want to open its settings because there's really nothing to do there. Out of the box, ArchiCAD staircase is super optimized. So what I need to do is to place an a dog leg staircase here, a U staircase here. So I'll start somewhere there and then draw to place maybe around 9, just to start with. The first flight is going to have 9 steps. Okay, and then I'll count on up to 9 and then click there, then change now the tool to be a landing. Okay, this landing is going to be the outside like that, right? And the landing should be, the distance between the landing should be 300, and then I would change again the tool into a flight. There we go, and then we can finish it off there. So this is what we have. I'll select the staircase. Instead of this, let's just mirror it to the other side. I'll select one of the points and then activate mirror on your pet palette, then mirror horizontal like that. Let's move this by picking this point and activate drag it here to the corner. Perfect. That's our staircase. It should be positioned here, gents. Let's move it somewhere there. That is where it's supposed to be positioned. All right, so that is what I was saying, the space looks too tight, but I can just increase the width maybe by 2 meters, going all the way like that, just to cater for the reception desk and the elevator here. To add an elevator is just an object that we're going to use. If you go here under design tool palettes and activate your object tool and open its settings, we can search for elevator on the search bar. See what would come. Here we have elevator 26. I don't think we have much. Yeah, we don't have, we just have this one. We can, I thought we have variations of this, but it's only one elevator object we have there. We can set the 2D to be full resolution, and then this 3D as well to be full resolution, and then we can change different styles in terms of the counterweight position and the direction of the openings as well. But this, I don't think that matters much here. And then I'll hit OK. I'll place it right there by the corner there. So that means this should go all this. Oh, sorry. I would use the drag to position to this corner like that. Okay, I could maybe have that on the same side, but you know what, I think it's better this way. The reception desk can be positioned on the center here. This is going to be a curtain wall glass that will change this, and then here we have I like to create an angled wall to widen up this passage. To do that, I can let's just trim off this wall by control hold and click on that one, and then I'll pick parameter of the wall as well. Start from this corner. This time around I'm going to use a center, and then I'll pick the corner and use a 45-degree angle all the way to the grid line. So that's basically what I have. It's very difficult to achieve because on you see here, this wall has to go, the corner has to go all the way, and be straight with the line of the grid. So if you check also on 3D, you would find it's not in line. You should take the line of the slab instead of this kind of a kink. We cannot achieve it using this kind of a wall. That's another tool, guys. So if we select this wall and then open its settings, you would see we have this different types of wall geometry. Okay, and they are grayed out because we already placed it. You can only achieve it by activating this here. If you activate it like that, it will start to change it to there. I don't know why this changed as well. I don't know what's happening here, but what we can do, it might be caused by the geometry of this wall we changed. So let's select both of these walls and then fillet. I don't know why. Okay, let's say let's move it there. Oh, now I see. I'm going to Control D and then move it by the corner like that. And then let's drag this point. I want to move this node all the way to there. Perfect. And then what I wanted to do here is to treat this edge by picking this point and then make it line like that. So this one also has to go all the way. Let's move this one all the way to there. Perfect. That's what I wanted to achieve, something like this. Okay, we're gonna create some fantastic stuff here, don't worry. So if we move forward, we're gonna create also there are 2 floors above this area. So if you go to the ground floor, what we need to do is to draw or place the slab for the upper floor. So I'll go here on the project browser and open the above floor. We already have a staircase here loaded. What you just need to do is to right click on the ground, then show as a trace reference in order for us to apply our slab for both 2 floors. So I'm going to activate the slab 2 and then it will keep the same parameters or settings. So what I can only do here is to change the thickness of it to be 150, and let's see on the settings and see what the surfaces are being used. It's paint glossy white. I want to turn this to be a tile. Let's just search for tile material. We go for this tiles 10 30 by 30. Let's hit OK, and then I'm going to draw it from this point to there. Okay, so that will be projecting over this. We can have a mezzanine floor above here, it's fine, but I don't think it's necessary. So if we check on 3D, we'll have something like this. Okay, and I'm going to copy this to the other floor as well. Let's go back to the floor plan, select it, right click or Control C in your keyboard to copy, then open the second story and Control V to paste it there. Make sure on this paste options window you check or set it to be original location, because we want to maintain the same position for our slab. So I'll just hit paste. As you could see now, it's right on top of or above of the beneath floor or slab. So I'll complete this by clicking outside this my queue to complete the operation. Perfect. So if we check on 3D, we have now 2 floors above what we have, like that. So what I need to do now is to start working on the copy. If I continue, I think I can complete this part here. Let's just complete this part, but before we do that, let's go to the first floor, and for this floor we are going to take this. Let's subtract this. Can you subtract that, or we should? No, I think it's fine. Let's move this. I think let's do it on ground floor. Sorry about that, gents. I'm thinking at the same time doing. So I would take this wall, stretch it all the way, and let's have it around 20 meters. Perfect. So then this one I can extract or maybe offset this edge all the way to that line, like that. Perfect. So I just wanted that to extend. This one we can fillet it with this to clean up this joint. I think it's caused by this. We can maybe stretch this, then stretch it back and see what will happen. Oh, there is a problem here. Maybe just a bit, just a bit, just a bit, just a bit. Wow. Okay, for now I'll keep it the way it is. I don't know why it's behaving like that. I really don't know. But if it gives me issues like this, what I can do, I can pick parameters of this wall and open its settings, change this to here, and let's just draw it based on there. Maybe it will solve our problem. This will solve our problem. I'm going just to retrace this wall, and there we go. Still we have issues here. Maybe the connection is the one that gives me a problem. What if I flip it up, or I bring this along here and then stretch this to there? Perfect. This is the connection that I wanted. This is the connection that I wanted. Okay, so if we check on 3D, we still maintain that, which is perfect. Okay, so we're gonna have some steps there. Let's go back to the ground, and I'm going to have a dropout here. Let's see what a drop we can have there. I'm going to pick parameter of the slab, then use a rectangular geometry to place this all the way to there, and then let's stretch this to the wire like that. Let's see this wall also. Okay, let's just drag the slab underneath there to maintain the same theme. Same applies to the side. This I'm going to drop it by -100. Yes, so that will create this step. Okay. Alright, I think I might just increase the height of this wall all the way to here. Same applies to this one, all the way to there. So here we're going to have another curtain wall, right? We have another one here and then another one there. For the time being, I think it's not important for me to place it now, because we would need to create a structure first, a structure system that will define that. Let's move ahead with the project and create now the iconic structure for this that will determine the architecture of the architecture style for this project. So what I did here, let's go to the ground. I've had some sketches on how I want the geometry for this form to be like. I just crafted a truss, just a gigantic truss that is made up of a polyline. It's just a sketch, a polyline tool that I've used to create a form, kind of what I want to achieve in this thing. So what I need to do is to select all this truss and then Control C. Let's open the section. Sorry, I'm gonna open the section. If I Control V and paste it here, you would see how this goes into the foundation walls. So I'm gonna just use center of the current view to paste this. Okay, and then to position my truss, I'm going to pick this corner and place it to this corner. All right, let's make sure it's, I think the side we might need a little bit of support. Let's see this side. We can push it all the way to there and see. I think this side, let's have it all the way to there. So from here, what we can do, let me click outside. You know what I can do? I will make sure to check the sketch below check the link on the description to download these sketches that I've created in order for you to follow along with this creation of this truss. So what I need to do is to go under documents and activate the tool, the polyline tool, or I can just pick parameter of that automatically to update that, and then I can select all. I want to pick even all the internal struts. So what I need to do, I want to scale. Okay, here is positioned very well. I want to scale this according to the distance or the span of the wall. So I'll Control K to resize or scale to reference, and then I'll use this line from there to here, from here to there, for example. Perfect. So it looks great. I think on this side we're supposed to flash as well. Let's see. No, I think it's sitting on the proper position. Let's leave it the way it is. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. So what I need to do now is to convert this into a 3D truss. So in order for me to achieve that, I'll select everything. The reason why they are separated, you see you have red lines and then this gray lines. It will guide us in terms of the sizes of these members of the truss. So I want the red ones to be in a thicker size, and then the gray ones should to be smaller than the outer members of the truss. So let's select all in this case, because I can just collapse that. Open this, collapse diffuse, and then activate the line tool, Control A, and then activate the polyline tool and Control A again to select all. From there we need to go to design. Under design, let's find design extras, truss maker, create a truss. In this window, I'm going to choose the hollow section because there's a steel structure. I have to go with the metal kind of this section. So then under the surface, let's find a white paint. I'm going to paint it white. Let's find, yeah, titanium. And then in terms of the truss profiles here, let's go to the truss profiles. That's where you see the significance of separating the elements if you know you want to use different sizes. So for the grade one, they are at 80. Let's make it 100, the gray ones. I want to make it a circle. Let's make it circle. This one will be 100, and then the red one will be 200 or 150. Okay, let's just leave it there for the sake of this demonstration. And then once you're done, you can hit OK to create your truss. I'll just leave it at truss 1, then hit save. Hit OK to apply. You'd see your truss being placed already. This time around it's been mirrored. We need to select it, and then let's Control M in your keyboard to mirror. Oh, if it doesn't want to mirror, let's just use the mirror from the pet palette. I'll click on mirror, then I'll mirror it vertically like that. So from here I need to put it to the position. I'll pick it from this point going all the way to there. So I need to position it in the center because the lines of a sketch represent the center point of all the elements. So I'll move this all the way by, because I was using 200, I'll move it by 100, which is half of that. Perfect. So you could see now my sketch sits right on the center of the object, as you can see. Perfect. And then if you look at the side, everything is perfect. So what I need to do now, let's see this line, yes, in that. Perfect. What I need to do is to, if we check on 3D, let's check on 3D. That's basically what you have. Okay, I don't know why here it didn't create a smooth truss. See, we have a problem here. Maybe it's because of the size. Same applies to both here. Okay, let's undo. I'm going to delete this truss, go back to the section and try to rectify that problem. Select all, all the lines by Control A for the line tool, and then activate the polyline and then Control A. So I'm going to go back to the design extras, truss maker, create a truss. This time around I'm going to use 150 for this instead of 200, right? The resolution, let's make it 100 for the sake of this, but I know I'm asking a lot from the computer by making a resolution of 100. But anyway, let's just try it out. Hit OK. I'll replace this truss. I could have, and then save, then place. I shouldn't have deleted that one because I could just come and then replace it and then need to update. Perfect. So before we position it, let's check it first. What's going on with this? Okay, let's just leave it there. No problem. I don't think it will stress us. I don't know why, but I don't know why it's giving me all these issues, but it's not a big of a problem. Let's mirror it, and then I will Control D to drag it to the point here. Perfect. Let's see it from the other side. The other side we need to drag it all the way by, because we've used all the way by 75, something like that. Okay, great. Now it sits right on the correct position. Same applies to the side. So if we check on 3D, we have our truss right on the position, right on the foundation wall. Okay, so now from here what we need to do is to go to the plan view. On the plan we need to position the truss according to the grid. It has to be right on the middle of the grid, and then from there we can move it outside. I'll just drag it here to the midpoint, then I move it out by 250, and then I'll Control M to mirror a copy to the other side, because we're gonna pair this to form one truss, something like that. Okay, and then if you check on 3D, you will have something like this. So what we need to do is to join them to be one. You can join them using a beam tool just by putting the struts here, but I'm not going to do that for the sake of this demonstration, in order for me to cover a lot of stuff. What I need to do is just to group them. Okay, let's just group them like that, and yes, from here we need to run multiple copies across. I don't like this color of red for this. Let's open the floor plan and section, and let's just leave it the red color. So what I need to do is to Control D. Let's Control D to move this right to this point, right, so that I can run multiple copies. I can multiply by picking one of the points and then activate multiply. Then this time around I'm not going to use a path, and I'm going to still use the spread and increment. Then I'm going to use again the grids to place that. I'm going to just do this, then run copies to there. Perfect. And then I can hit you can Control K to group all them together, and this one has to go. This truss will have to go, but I can do it on 3D just to check. Let's see the results. Perfect. I think this I'll delete. So let's get rid of this truss. I think I made a mistake by using 100% resolution. So now I'm suffering the consequence of it. You shouldn't use 100 because you could see clearly our project is struggling. Okay, so now we have the structure. you can go ahead and let me just show you how to join them together, because we need some bracing between this, okay, both from the top and then from the sides, because it has to be a one unit. So I'm going to use a beam to achieve this. So let's go to the design tool palette and then activate the beam tool and change the profile to be a circular beam and change the material to be steel structural, right? No, steel structural. Okay, I'll open its settings and then I want to go here under segment to change the surfaces. Let's override the surfaces to paint titanium to be the same as the truss, and then I hit OK. Mind you, again we need to set the radius to be 150 to be as the same as that, and then hit OK. I'm going to join this guy from this. If you zoom in here in your truss, you could see we have this gray point. It's a plane. It's identifying, it can pick the surface of the truss. As you can see, if I move it around, it goes well with the circle like that. So only what I need to do is to pick where I can join it or where I can connect it with the other one. So I'll pick it from here, and then I will while I'm still in this process, I'll hit O to rotate it and then pan it so that I can have a clear view for this, and I would hit escape to cancel the to cancel the rotation command, and then I'll also put the plane on the surface of my truss like this to find a perfect place to connect that. Then I can click perfect. So if we look at that, I've connected them perfectly. Oh, this needs to be just a little bit to be moved this side to the right. So I can select that and then pick this point. On the point, I would use this line. Or no, I can just use the stretch and then stretch it to somewhere there. Do the same again to somewhere there, and then I can also increase the length for this in order for it to snap very well. If you see, now we have a perfect connection, right? We have a perfect connection for both up and then down. Let's make the line to be same. I've used a red line for all of this, which is color 20. Perfect, like that. So if you go to the ground view, if you move here, we can find it there. If it's not visible there, that means it's in the upper floor. So let's open the upper floor. There we go. We see it. It's somewhere there. We're gonna select it. Control Shift M to mirror a copy. I'm gonna use the midpoint of it, which is this side. Mirror to the other side like that. If we check on 3D, you have a bracing between the two structures like that. Once you're done with that, let's group these two items. Group them, then go back again here and suspend groups. Pick one of the points to multiply and use the increment and spread, and then leave the rest as it is. Hit OK, and I'm going to use the grids as well to multiply this. I'll pick the first point, and then the second point will be the next grid. Then I'll copy it to the other side like that. So if you check on 3D, you will have it will take a bit of a second to update that. So now we have this method. We can also change the overrides to try to visualize this accordingly. If you change to simplified plane, it will make everything black, and let's see how it's going to turn. I think like I said, I made a mistake, guys, by making the resolution of this truss 100%. So that is why it takes time to process that. So that's basically how you can brace off this for both at the top and on the side. Okay, So we can also use the same method here by mirroring a copy the side and then modify it accordingly. Let's do that. So I'm gonna pick one of this, Control Shift D, and drag this to there. Right, if you check on 3D, should be somewhere here. You see here, we need to modify the angle of the struts or the bracing. Okay, I want it to be, I wanted to connect it. Let's connect it here. You see, right? So I'm gonna pick this and pick the point. Zoom in, able to see. I'll pick this point. It doesn't give me the options. Why? Let's zoom in there. Oh, it's been grouped. Sorry about that, guys. I was wondering what is going on here. If you group them there, it's very difficult to access other tools. So I'll suspend groups, and then if I select one, I can now pick. You see, now I have array of tools. So let's say I increase or modify the angle to up somewhere here, right? Somewhere there. I think I went too far. I can modify the angle again by using this stretch. Now let's find here. I'll find the surface of the truss by using the plane, the gray plane. As you could see, I'll find the perfect spot and then I'll click. And again, let's reduce the height of it by modifying the angle to bring it down a bit like that. Should be fine if you zoom in there. Yeah, yes, it's perfectly connected, as you could see. And let's make sure down here is the same connection, right? I'm gonna extend. Let's see first. I'm going to modify the angle by stretching using a stretch command. Then let's find the surface of the truss using a plane. You see, now we have our plane there. Let's just click that. Perfect. So if you orbit by O in your keyboard, you could see we have this connection, right? So that means I can get rid of the other bracing and then go back to the plan view. Control Shift M to mirror a copy of this by the midpoint, which is I think is this part. Perfect. Let's group them together. Control G and go back here. Let's see. Perfect. I'm impressed. It looks great. So I need to run now multiple copies to the other side. Okay, I'm gonna do it on floor plan. Let's pick one of the points to multiply, spread and increment under drag command. I'm going to use the grids to run these copies. So the first point will be the first grid, the next grid will be the second grid. Then run your copies like that. Okay, so that's now the structure. I won't do much of this because we still have a long way to go. So I was just giving you the tips on how to brace this. You can repeat the same on the top. You can repeat the same at the top, but here we can have maybe 1, 2. That could take us a time if we try to do it, but I'm impressed with the results here because we're not going to have this on this area. Same applies to this area here. Let's get rid of that because we're going to create a door and access for the delivery and loading bay. Okay, so it looks great, gentlemen. I'm impressed. Okay, the system obviously is not complete, but you can do it at your time. I think let me give you an assignment to complete the rest. What I can do, what I would do if I had to complete this, I would have another bracing trusses here, maybe 2 of them, one here and then another one there. Then I run multiple copies. So the next stage is to do the shell, is to cover up this, to wrap up with this with the roof. Okay, so let's go back to the what you call the plan section view. Under section view, what I need is to manipulate the curve from what you call from our trusses. Okay, so instead of relying much on the 2D line, I need to make sure it's perfectly positioned in order for me to do this. So in this case, let's see here. What I'll do, I will just drag this point to there and make sure everything goes out. I'll do the same to this height. Let's go in this direction. Do the same to here. See, my computer is struggling. I can see, you can hear it crying for help because of these trusses. I shouldn't have used a 100 resolution. That was a mistake, but I was trying to fix this issue. I thought it would work, but hey, now I've been left with the consequences of that. Okay, so once you are done with that, once you're happy with this, I can also maybe let's offset this to outside by 300. Oh, sorry, I want to offset a copy. I'll pick that, offset, add a copy by hitting control in the keyboard and then type in 300. So in that manner, I would pick this point, round it off by 300. Perfect. So do the same to the side, round it off by 300. Nice. So this is the shell of our roof. So I'm going to copy this to the ground because we're going to use let's just paste it here. We're going to use the shell tool to achieve that. And then shell doesn't work, or only works on the floor plane. So unfortunately, we cannot do it on a section. Ideally, it should be fine, or should be done on the section. But I hope ArchiCAD, the next version, this kind of things will be updated. So I'll activate the shell tool, and then under the geometry method, I'll pick the first extruded geometry method. Then we have the construction method, detailed one. That's the one that I'm going to pick. So for the structure, let's just go basic and then change this to steel. Let's turn this to steel structural. Yes, I can open the settings to override the surface. I'm looking for the roof corrugated iron sheets. I know these are not the perfect sheet. I will come back and readjust the surfaces. So let's just hit OK, and then I'll hold your space bar in your keyboard to activate magic wand. Once it's active, let's click on the line. So the extrusion length is the entire length of our building. So the entire length of this building is around I'm not sure, let me just put 70 or 70,000, then hit enter. Because it's subject to, I can just come and again adjust the height. I'm not that worried. Okay, so from the section, let's just move it closer there. So if we check from the section, where is it? It's here. Select it. Then this side, the blue, if you see this line, the blue line, reference line on the other side, that means it's the bottom part. So the top part doesn't have the line, the blue line. so in case it may confuse you. So I'll hit Control E so that I can rotate it accordingly. So the bottom line represented by the blue line, the top doesn't have that. Okay, and then I'll go to the floor plan to find it. Let's find it here, then rotate it accordingly. Let's rotate it. It should be rotated like that. So, and then I'll go back to the section and let's make sure it's been mirrored. I'll pick one of the points, then activate mirror tool, mirror it vertical. Perfect. Now is the time for us to take it to the position. I'll select this point and then use drag command, drag it there, and wait for it to be placed in the correct position. Perfect. That is it. As you see, you can run some inspection and try see if everything is according to the plan. But however, that's the case. So if we check on 3D, it will wrap up our structure now to become perfect. So we need to drag it off on the floor plan. Let's go here on the floor plan and Control D. I'm going to move it all the way to here. Let's see the side. Okay, it's not adequately positioned, so I'll just pick one of the points here to stretch using this edit extrusion length all the way to there. Perfect. So if we check on 3D, you will have now your project or your shell in place. Okay, this is how it is. So in conjunction with the slab, I think it's canny. I'm really impressed with the results so far. Okay, so what you need to do now is to carve in the spaces for the offloading. So that one, I'll go back to the ground or one of the floors, and then I'll draw a polyline or rectangle polyline defining the spaces for the offloading. So I'm going to minimize the design tool palettes and then activate the polyline. This, I'm going to do it along this line. So make sure the geometry is a rectangle, then come here, just make sure it's covering your slab, your walls, and then I can offset it outside so that it can cut the entire element. And Control Shift D, do the same, position it there. All right, so now is the time for the magic. I'll select, okay, let's select, select the mesh, the shell, sorry, right click, then find create hole in the shell, and then you can now hold hold your space bar and then click on the line. You could see it worked by seeing these points being added to your shell. So let's do the same. Right click again, create hole in shell, and then hold space bar and then click on the line. You could see now we've added this geometry. So if we check on 3D, you see now we have carved, even though it will take a little bit of time, yes, we've carved this area where the trucks will be packing to receive and offload some goods. So now is the time for us to close over the spaces, because as it is, it won't work. What you need to have a door here, a roller shutter door, and then close it off the spaces. To do that, I'll start by drawing this wall that is supposed to be there. Let's go back to the ground and let's find or activate. I can pick the parameter of one of these walls here, okay, and then move here. Then I'm going to draw it from this corner all the way to here. Let's move down and do the same to this part that way. Right, so let's position or move or adjust the position of our section 2 or section line. I'll just position it right to cut this area here, but we have a sketch that precisely it's meant for this. But before we assume, I want to select that line, Control C to copy it. Then let's open the section. Let's open the section and make sure that is being covered. Okay, this wall has to go all the way here, all the way to 6,000. But I think I need to confirm from the height first. Okay, so I will take this wall and stretch it all the way. Let's use a stretch the height, stretch all the way to here. Okay, let's see how the position is. I think we could have cut the roof from the inside instead of exposing the walls. Let's do undo. Yeah, what I was saying, instead of having this line all the way to there, we're gonna make sure it's inside. So I'm going to offset all edges so that it can be in the inside like that. Same applies to this one. That will give me a chance that if I draw a wall here, I can use the roof to trim it off, underside of the roof. Okay, so let's select the shell, right click, create a hole in shell. Then I can space bar hole, click on the line, right click, create a hole, hold space bar, and then click to create holes so that we can have something like that. Let's see. Perfect. Then what I need to do is to go back to the ground floor and let's say we're drawing a wall. Like I said, like I done previously, I'll pick the parameters of this wall, then draw a wall above this wall and do the same to this area here. Okay, so if we check on 3D, what we want is to zoom in there, take this wall, stretch it all the way to the underside of your roof, something like this, and it has to start above the foundation wall. Yeah, something like that. And I can pick parameters of this wall and inject it to this wall. Number. Okay, so that is where we're going to place the roller shaft door. The roll-up door is going to be placed there. Now we have a challenge of closing up the edges or the sides. For that, I want the truss to one of the side of the truss to be exposed as a feature for this area. So I'll go back to the section. On this section, what I need to do is to have a geometry that will start from here and then go all the way from there and then to close off there. We can use a morph to create this. I don't think what you call this, the wall tool will able to do that, because we have to, if you are using the wall, we have to use solid element operation to subtract the unwanted elements. But the way the geometry for the structure, for the roof structure, the way it is, it won't give us a platform to do that. So I will just stretch these grid lines to be out of the drawing like that. Okay, so to achieve this, I could pick this line, right, and then draw another line there. So let me just pick parameters of this polyline, then I'll draw a line based from here. Let's just draw a line using a polygonal geometry. The line has to start from here, and then I'll close it off there. Okay, let's select this and then select the line. Control C to copy, because we're gonna, okay, for the shell, for the morph tool, you can do it on 3D, so there's no point of you copying it to the ground. So I'll Control Shift D just to bring it here outside the drawing, and then I can now trim that. So from here we can activate the morph tool. Where's the morph? Activate the morph tool, change the material to be the same as our wall, to be brick structural, and then open its settings. We're going to change this to be a, I want to have the same finish of roof sheets from the outside, right? Corrugated sheets. Then hit OK. I will then hold space to activate the magic wand, the space bar key, and then click to place your morph like that. So I need to extrude it by, let's pick the surface. I don't know why. Okay, let's move it to the position first before we can extrude it. Put it there. Let's check on 3D. Here we have our morph. I'm going to try move it to the position. Let's move it to somewhere here. I'll shift and hold it based on this guideline, then pick the surface of your shell, or even pick corner, this corner. Perfect. So that's basically what we have, even though we don't have an extrusion. Let's select it, then extrude it. Select the surface to extrude it by 300. Something like that. Okay, that's basically what I wanted. Perfect. Okay, now I can duplicate this to the remaining spaces. So let's go to the ground and find it. It should be, this is the one, right? Control Shift M to mirror a copy from this wall to the other side. Once you've done that, let's select all of them, then let's group them. Okay, from here I'll Control Shift D and use this grid line to paste it there. Check on 3D. We have this. Perfect. Impressive. So let's create some openings for our delivery and offloading section. I'll come back to the ground floor, and then let's activate the door tool, but make sure you've escaped to cancel all the selections, and then activate the door. Open its settings. From the settings, what we need to do is to find a garage door. We have this high-speed door or high-speed roll-up door. That's the one that we're going to use. We're going to set the 3D detail level to full resolution. Same applies to the 2D detail level. Let's make it scale sensitive. Okay, and then when it comes to materials, we can move on to the second pages. And when it comes to the materials, I want to use the bottom part paint blue. I want to use the same sheet material for roof. Let's find roof corrugated. Same applies to this one. Roof corrugated. Yes, the leaf inside. Roof corrugated. Let's hit OK. Then we can come here and apply our door. Let's select the door. I'm gonna change the width to be 5 meters, and then the height to be 7 meters. It has to start from 1 meter because that's a delivery door. let's check on 3D the results. This is what we created. Okay, it looks great. Let's replicate it to this side as well. I will just pick parameter of the door, then place it. Okay, no, supposed to take it from the outside and then place it. Perfect. If you check on 3D, that's basically what we wanted. Okay, nice stuff. Okay, on the next stage, we're going to close it off here. Then we're going to fix the front. Then we do the signage. Okay. Okay, we've reached another exciting part of the process to color up and create a stunning entrance or a stunning front of our nice design. Okay, so with the challenge of the nagging of the file because of the resolution, the mistake that I did when I was creating the trusses to make the resolution 100%. It's unnecessary to make the resolution 100%, guys. Don't repeat this mistake. If you had to, even for objects, don't push your object to 100% resolution, because up until you are doing the rendering part, that's where you cannot convert everything to 100 resolution. But in this case, what I can rectify my mistake is to work while the truss structure is hidden. I know the layer is under, let me see, it's under structural bearing. I think it shares the same layer with walls, but what I need to do is to create a separate layer for this superstructure. I'll come here down on your interface to click on this icon for layers. Let's open layers, and then I'll create a new layer. I'll call it let me just call it structure. Oh, sorry about that. Let's say steel structure. Okay, then I will hit OK. I would make sure this layer, on all these layers that I'm going to use, it has to be switched off, right? As it is now, it's off, which is what I wanted. I'll hit OK, and then I'll come on the, let's go to the ground floor, right? I want to select all the trusses. I know they are grouped, that's why I love grouping elements that are multiplied in order for me for easy working. So I'll assign it the steel structure layer to switch it off. Now I can happily work on the file without worrying much about nagging of the file. Okay, so that's how you can manage and control your elements in your file. I've done a big error. That's a rookie's error, guys, because I was trying to solve the issue of the round edges of the trusses. I thought by increasing the resolution it will disappear, but it couldn't solve that. Now I have to come up with this to rectify my mistake. So yeah, it is what it is, but at least you guys, you've also experience it with me. And then the most important thing is the solution. When you find yourself in that kind of situation, what are the possible solutions to that? This is one of it. Or you can redo your truss from scratch again, but lesser resolution. That will also help you to do that. You see, now it takes almost a minute to just switch off the layers. It shows how heavy these items are. There we go. Now you could see our file is light weighting. Okay, so our interesting part is going to be here, or in this section we're going to focus on the entrance, right? So in order for me to create that, I will delete this wall. This wall is going to be represented by a curtain wall. Okay, so we're gonna have staircase all over this. Then let's say go to the ground and then activate your curtain wall. I'm not gonna bother much now by the settings. Let's just draw a curtain wall here. Let's flip it to the inside, and then place it there. Okay, you could see it extends. There is an extension of the curtain wall frame into the wall. We don't want to see that. This has to be right flushing with the wall. So I'll open its settings, and then under here, let's select curtain wall system, and then under place boundary, let's make sure the insert boundary is the option that we want to use. You see now, it will be perfectly corrected. So on 3D, you will have something like this. You have another curtain wall that will cover the entire portion, or this entire region here. Let's go to the ground, and that, let's do the same. I'll pick parameter of this curtain wall. This one, I'm going to draw it from this corner all the way to this corner. Okay, so if you check on 3D, this needs to extend all the way. I'm going to select it, then stretch the height, and then goes all the way to there. It's very difficult to fit okay, because the curtain wall, it will take a bit of time, and it's very difficult to fit it the way you would want in these areas. But I'll show you the best way to do that. You will be amazed by the results. If you've watched my previous videos about those buildings that I was designing with you guys, you would see how we managed to manipulate the use of curtain wall and achieve different designs of our building. So in this case, I'm going to open the east elevation, because that's the front elevation of this project. Right, there we go. What we need to do first is to select this curtain wall, and then hit on this edit button. If you hit on this edit tab, it will give you this edit mode of a curtain wall. So what you need to do is to activate the scheme grid, right? And then from there, we need to switch off the frame, switch off the panel, switch off the junction, and then almost everything, just except the scheme grid. So once you are done with those items, we can select the boundary of our grid, and you can pick this point, and then move it to this point. We could add another point. Let's add another point here, place it there. For curtain wall to convert this curve or edge to a curve, it won't work. So the best way is to take a point by point to create a curve. So just in practical terms, you cannot create a bending of your bend of your frame just by a smooth bend. You have to score it. You have to score it in order for it to bend. I think that's the idea we are using here. So by adding points like I'm doing here, I'm scoring this curtain wall frame in order for it to bend. As you could see, we see the segments that we have. They are the guidelines for us to bend our curtain wall like that. The same applies to this area. Okay, so let's move on to the downside. Here, what we need to do is to add another point and then position it to here, like right. Same applies to that, and then this one will move it. Let's move this point to this corner and pick at another point here. We'll move it to this corner. This one we need to move it here just to define this geometry, as you could see. We move to this side as well. We do the same thing. Let's pick this corner and position it somewhere there and add another point to here, and then that should be fine for us to start scoring this to curve it just like that. So impressive, just like that. Okay, that one is not accurate, but for the sake of the demonstration, let me just leave it. Unless I'm doing a proper project, that's where I'll be specific. I'll be too certain with those. Right, perfect. So if we move down, we can, oh sorry, I think add another point here. We'll add another one here to this corner, and then we finish it off by moving this point to there. Okay, so we're done with that. As you can see, let's hit exit mode to see our result. Let's check on 3D. This is what we created. Wow, perfect. And we should, I think I need to push this curtain wall backwards a bit to create maybe a recess. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section what you think. Should I recess it or leave it the way it is? And then, by the way, we have this entrance, a splayed entrance here. Our curtain wall has to cater for that, so we have to create a hole here. So in order for us to create a hole, we have to delete all these frames and panels on this section to remain with that, because we already have a curtain wall here that will act as an entrance door. So let's go back. We can do it even on 3D. Let's come here, and I'll pick let's start with this frame. We have different frames, right? No, but before we do that, let's set our frame right in order for us to have an easy way to go about this. So I'm going to open the settings of the curtain wall and come here on a scheme. From the scheme, what I need to do is to, okay, I can find a favorite for that I can use. Let's find no, it's fine, we can just use this one. Let's just modify this. Instead of having 3 rows, I'll have 2. I'll reduce this one. I'll have 2 rows. Instead of having 2 schemes, I'll have 1 as well. Okay, no, let me just add, oh, sorry, I'll have 2 here, and then this will be 1.8 because I'm catering for the width of a door. So 1.8. This should also be 1.8. Okay, and then all this has to be on the same material, right? There has to be a distinct panel, all of them. Okay, so this one is going to be 2.1. That caters for the height of our doors. Okay, 2.1. From 2.1 we would have how much? 900, right? Yes, we have, that's 900 to make it 3 meters, so that you can start another 2.1 on 0. So this way it's fine. I can hit OK to apply the changes. But by the way, we don't have the doors above 2.1, so I can go back and get rid of this 900. Let's make it 2.1 as well, just to be the same. Perfect. So if we check on 3D, this is what we have. So now the slabs has to offset the inside. So I'll come here on the first floor, select the slab, stretch the edge to right on the edge. Do the same to the upper floor and stretch to right to the edge of our curtain to clean up this edge. Okay, I think we need to increase the height, maybe the width of instead of having square, let's have 2.1. This will make it 1.5. Sorry, 1.5 width. Same to this one, 1.5. Hit enter. It should shrink a bit. Perfect. It looks fantastic. Great. Now we came to, what is this? Okay, we have these walls that are encroaching. We need to reduce the length of these walls. Okay, these 2 walls, I'm going to adjust it from here. Let's adjust it with the adjust tool, and then I just draw a line to adjust them like so. Perfect. So they will disappear. Now I need to fix this issue. Oh, now I see. This is okay. We need to have this line of our what you call of our transom to be at 3 meters. Okay, 3.1. So I'm going to set my curtain wall to be that way. So it's going to be 3 meters, or I can just have one at 3 meters, right? And then perfect. There we go. We can also increase it, maybe 3.1 to allow. No, I think it's fine. Let's leave it the way it is. It's fine. Okay, now let's get rid of the unwanted materials. I'll hit edit, then let's select this panel and all the panels and the frames on this section. Then delete. I think we've all deleted. Yeah, they are all out. We can hit escape. As you could see, now we've created this displayed thing, and then we have these frames that are remaining. We can also do the same, get rid of these frames, hit delete in your keyboard, exit the edit mode. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to create, gentlemen. But in terms of the framework of this, we should have the same continuity of that on the top. So I'll select, I either pick this wall, this slab, or this one. Let's Control Shift D, carry this slab from the top, or from the top here to right on the 3 meters. Okay, so it has to sit right on the top there. So I'm going to stretch it all the way to there. Perfect. And then I can now reduce the height of this curtain wall to the underside, just to form something like that. Okay, and what I want is to have the branding colors now for the company that I'm designing it for. So this wall is going to be blue for the inside. Okay, so I'll start with the slab. Pick the slab and open its settings. I'm going to change the underside of it to be paint royal blue, and then the edge of it is going to be paint gray. Let's find paint, this one, yeah, paint and the whatever. Hit OK. Then once we're done with this, let's take this wall. You need to find the orientation, the reference line first, to determine which side I'm going to apply the surface. Okay, and then open the side. So I can see the reference line is from the outside, so that means I need to change this side. Make sure that it's unlinked, and then I can change this to paint royal blue. Hit OK. That will change the side. Same applies to this wall. Select it, and then that means we're gonna change the side of the reference line. Okay, let's unlink this. The side of the reference line is this one. Then paint royal blue, something like that. Okay, so I would take this curtain wall and have a nice curtain wall design to there. So I'm going to get rid of this 300 fill. I don't think we would have much of this. Let's see how many panels should we have there. A width of 1.6 to cater for a double door. Yeah, that's all I want. No, I think I need to get rid of the height. This 900. We don't need this 900, right? So we have we'll set the one is 900 and then 1.5, something like this. Is it correctly done? No, I want to get rid of the two of them has to cater for 3 meters, right? For 2.1, sorry. So if I say one is going to be, we say this is going to be 1.6. Let's see. Okay, I can just hit edit here, then select this line, select all of it. Okay, use this selection criteria of that, then delete that. Perfect. So that I can also do the same here, because I want to create a door. I will delete that to remain with this panel. I can select the panel and find a double door here. Let's find a double door there. While it's being selected, let's open its settings. I'll set the 2D level to be full, the 3D level also to be full, and then if we move on to the next page, another page, set the leaf frame width to be 60. Okay, let's go for 80, and then move on to the next page. Set the handle to something you love, and the position of which I think is fine at 1 meter. Yeah, then the rest is history. Let's hit apply. Perfect. So we have that. I can hit exit. Okay, so basically that's what we created for our entrance. It looks great, gentlemen. So in terms of at the back here, we have it open, but we can also manipulate what we have in terms of this curtain hole and then place it at the back. So what I mean about this, let's just go to the ground, select this, and I'm going to Control Shift M to mirror a copy. Let's find the center line, which is this, and then check on 3D. Let's rotate it the way we want. Right, so here I was just interested on the geometry, on the boundary of this, not the panels itself. Okay, so what I need to do is to select this and then go to edit. What I need to do here is to get rid of everything, like everything. So this one I will delete, like everything, and hit OK. So I don't know how I'm going to fill in this. I don't know how I'm going to fill in this space. Okay, let's go back, and we're going to fill this. Okay, let's get rid of this frame, then that one, just to remain with the boundary, and hit OK. So if you go back, or let's open the west elevation. All right, on the west elevation, if you select this, hit edit. So let's find for the frame. I don't know what happened. Let's just keep. I wanted to fill in this area. Okay, instead of making it a distinct panel, let's make it main panel and see. Okay, then we put us. I see what might be the problem here. If it doesn't work, the quickest way is to delete this and then go back to the section. Let's open the section. What we want is to manipulate that line, right? We want to manipulate this line. Okay, Control Shift D to make a copy to here, and then I'm going to pick this line, stretch it all the way to there. Use the Morph tool. Let's find a Morph tool there, place it here, take it back to the position, something like this. No, it's not accurately positioned. Let's move it back there. Okay, if we check on 3D, we have that, but that needs to be somewhere there. I could select it here, then Control D and pick it from there. I can restrict it to this guideline, right, by holding Shift and then dock it here. Perfect. And dock it there. We can let's extrude it by 300. Nice. Finito. Perfect. I'm impressed. Okay, in terms of the material, we could play around with the material. For example, the ones that we've been using for our shell, which is the, so if you select this and then go to the options and then elements, attributes, if you open the, let's find surfaces, right? By default, ArchiCAD will select all the surfaces that are for the selected element. So if you scroll down here, you would find that light roof corrugated. If you select it and then we want to replace its texture to something different, so if I come here and then from the list here, you would find we have a bunch of materials we use. So if you could check, we have different shades of this corrugated material. We could choose this one and hit OK and apply. It will apply or changes to that. Perfect. So it looks same, but I have something that I've downloaded from 3D SketchUp, 3D textures. So let's go back, options, element, attributes, surfaces. Then instead of okay, let's find the right surface, which is this, and select it. Then come here under texture and then browse. On browse, this time around I'm going to add, because I have a downloaded texture. Let me just go for the location of that. If you check the link also in the description, guys, to download these textures, I took them from, I can put the link for this to download that from 3D or SketchUp textures. So if we check, if we come here and show large icons, this is what I have. I can select this, the green one, hit OK and wait for it to upload. It's going to be embedded or be under embedded library, so I would hit OK and then there we go, it's now being applied. So if you hit OK, your thing will be applied like that. Perfect. It looks great. I think we should have the same on this, we should have the same as well here. What do you think for this walls? I think let's have the same for the walls. Open its settings and it's going to be from the inside. Unlink it, pick this, no, this one, then roof. Let's search for roof, that one, hit enter. Oh, it was from the inside, so let's find roof, this one, then hit enter. Perfect. So that's what I wanted. Okay, it looks great. And I could change also for, I could change for the, see now for the doors, it goes all the way. No, I see the rollers are supposed to be on the inside of the door. That's why it's giving us this funny funny representation. Let's go back here and then I will select this, delete, pick parameter. Instead of choosing to place it, I think the position should start from the inside, I mean from the outside, and then place it in the inside, right? So that it can be, where is it? Oh, I see. I think let's just leave it that way, or we create a separate texture for our doors. What do you think? Let's just hit undo and then create separate texture for our doors. But let's, okay, let's have them this direction. I'll delete this one, pick parameters of that, start it from the outside and then should open from the inside. So I'm going to go to options, element, attributes, surfaces, and create a separate texture for our doors. So I'll hit new while I'm selecting this so that I can duplicate it, and then I can just say corrugated for doors, right? I'll just say corrugated doors and then browse the texture, add to use this one and then open. Also check the link on the description to download this texture, and then I'll hit OK. I think it should be fine. So for this, let's activate on 3D and then select, where are the doors? Something strangely happened. Oh, I've added the doors to a wrong wall. All right, now I see. Okay, let me just delete that, then come here. So I will let's ungroup, then pick these two walls. Make sure it's not a profiled wall, because profiled wall are for foundations. We can even find it here. Okay, perfect. There. Let's activate the dot tool and then pick it from the outside like I said, and then open to the inside from the outside of your wall and then inside. So this, let's check on 3D. There has to be positioned right on this 1 meter height because of the delivery, and the texture should be the one we just created, the leaf outside and the leaf inside. We're only changing the leaf material. So I'm going to find roof, where is roof corrugated door? Yes, it is. And then the inside as well should be roof corrugated door. The frame, I'm going to use just a metal steel or aluminum or iron, something darker. Okay, bottom part, I don't know what this bottom part for, but for this I'll just say okay, perfect. Now the issue is the orientation of the texture. So let's go back to the surfaces, and what we need to do is to select that surface and change it to 90 degrees angle. I think we also need to increase its size. Let's make it 6 meters, the scale. Okay, number 1, I like it. So I'll pick parameters of that and paste it or inject it to this one. Right, so we have an issue here. The issue is the joint between these two, this morph wall and the shell for the roof. So in order for us to clean up this edge, we're going to use let's go back here. Okay, I'm going to manipulate this line, right? To manipulate this line, I will drag it up a bit. Let's just add a copy of 50. Okay, add a copy of 50, and then this has to go all the way to there and then stops. So this is basically what I'm looking for. So I'll select this, copy, and then move to the floor plan, paste it there, because what we need to do, I don't know what's the problem. What's wrong with this? You can choose one of the following options: add elements, blah blah. Okay, the layer is locked. So let's go back and then make sure the layer of 2D general. 2D general, it's just a good layer. Let's go for the ground. Control V, paste that here, and then what I need to do is to activate the shell tool, right? Shell tool, and then pick this, then place it there. Let's find this to be, I think, 300 extrusion. Okay, so this is what we have. I'll drag it and then put it just nearby the section view range, and then I can open the section here so that I can where is it? Here it is. I can Control E. Like I said, the blue part indicates the bottom of in this case, where is the bottom? The bottom is this side, right? So I will Control E and rotate to there, go back to the ground, and then rotate it accordingly like that. So on the section, it's just for us to position it to the place. Wow, what happened? I need to rotate it. How do we need to rotate it? This way, rotate it that way, and then we can now mirror it, right? Let's mirror it vertical like that. Now drag this to the base, something like check on 3D. Okay, it's been positioned here. Let's see, let's find it on the floor plane and then move it to the place. I think I'll just put over here, or maybe somewhere there, just for it to clean up that. So instead of using the same material, I would open it and then let's just override the surface so that to treat off this area here. And I don't think it's nicely treated. What do you think? I don't think it's nicely treated. What if I flip? No, if you're flipping it is going to be a mess. Or maybe let's use solid element operation, okay, for the now I see where the problem came from. This needs to be flashing the morph. Let's just flash it inside, and then or instead of that, let's say I'm going to select this, or select the morph, right click, bring, connect solid element operation. Then what I need to do, the morph is a target, so I need to pick the operator, which is going to be the shell. The operation is going to be just subtraction, right? And then I can say execute. Let's see. Perfect. Now it's been cleaned the way I want. Okay, so let's do the same to here. This is going to be the target. You are being the, okay, let me just do them once. The targets are going to be 1 and 2 and 3. You are my targets, right? The operator is going to be the roof, and then execute. Perfect. So now I can get rid of this. Yes, I can. All right, it looks clean without glittering of materials. Fantastic. And then we have this continuous bend of line. We can use a green color if we want to maintain the same theme, but hey, I think it's perfect that way. It's perfect this way, to be honest. Right, so another thing is to do the branding part of it. I did that from the previous video when I was doing the gas station or petrol station designs. I'll check the link in the description as well. Check the link in the description as well, or at the top right corner, to check that video as well. I think you can learn a lot in terms of also using the shell tool and create different types or styles of petrol stations or petrol station architecture. So this is basically what we've created, gentlemen. I'm really impressed with the result.